The Raptors have been known as a great regular season team for almost a decade now and haven't missed the playoffs since 2013. They're tied for the second active playoff streak, and it's legitimately at risk this year. This was a team that had identity, played hard every single night, and looked great as a team. From the DeRozan era to the Kawhi championship year, and even the year after, they had all those things in common, and that's what made them so successful. But this year, they're missing a lot of things. They didn't lose a star player. In fact, most of their players are having career seasons this year. So what exactly is the problem with the Toronto Raptors? And that's what we will be talking about in today's video. And the first thing I want to talk about is their environment. The Raptors are the only team that can't play at their home arena and practice facility. Having a comfortable spot that you know your way around and built habits in really helps. And the Raps have been stripped from that. During their home games, they aren't as much of an advantage from their opponents. Because of the coronavirus, no fans are going to be coming from Toronto, and you only have fans from Tampa Bay sitting in the stands. And in Tampa, you're probably going to have more Miami Heat and Orlando Magic fans than Raptor fans. Yeah, you still have the announcers, music, and sound effects like it's a home game, but they don't have the proper home game experience like all other NBA teams have. All teams had to struggle with COVID-19, some more than others, and the Raptors haven't been hit super hard, but it isn't like they got a free pass either. Players have been in and out of the lineup like Fred VanVleet even admitted he had the coronavirus. Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby were the main ones, but other players were also affected by the virus. And the fact that players were in and out of the lineup makes it that much worse because the Raptors don't have much depth. When Kawhi Leonard left, it wasn't too bad because you still had players to fill in that role like OG Anunoby, Norman Powell, but that was only missing one player. The good thing is that players like Fred VanVleet were able to take leaps and take on a bigger role. But that's one player missing. The next season, we lost two main players in the front court that played amazing defense. Gasol and Ibaka both played good defense and were veteran leaders for the team. Mark was a good passer, Serge was an elite shot blocker, and they could both stretch the floor. They just fit really well with the team. Kawhi, as well as both of them, hurt the Raptors' depth a lot. We lost them all in free agency and didn't get anything in return. In the same offseason, Toronto did acquire Alex Len and Aaron Baines, but that doesn't fill in the role properly at all. Alex Len was never a good player, and he only got worse on the Raptors. He averaged less than 3 points a game. Aaron Baines went from being an underrated role player in Phoenix to such a disappointing player. His stats dropped in every single major category, and he has been extremely underwhelming for the team. Both of those players couldn't fill in the role Ibaka and Gasol left for them. Boucher has been great this year and took a massive jump, but even that's not enough. The Raptors still don't have enough rim protection or scoring in the paint. The Raptors are now down 3 major pieces that they had during their championship run, and one of them is a bona fide superstar. Now we have only 6 main players in the rotation, and with some of them in and out of the lineup. There's Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and Chris Boucher. And out of all those players, there is no one I can trust to get a bucket in crunch time. In the East, there are closers like Joel Embiid, KD, Kyrie, Harden, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, and who do the Raptors have? Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet? It's just not enough. In 2019, the Raptors had Kawhi Leonard. That's one of the most trustworthy players to have going into the fourth quarter. He's able to affect the game on both ends, and he gets to his spot whenever he wants. But when he left, Siakam and other players took a huge leap, and they weren't as good in crunch time when Kawhi was there, but they were still 3rd in the league in win percentage in clutch games. But this season, Siakam has taken a step back. He just isn't producing at the same rate that he was the other year. He's such a young player, and I definitely didn't expect for him to get worse. He was one of the Raptors' go-to guys going down the stretch, but this year, I don't have much trust in him. This year they have the third worst win percentage in clutch games. There is a 28% chance that the Raptors are going to win a game if it goes into clutch territory. That's terrible. The only two teams that have a worse percentage than them are the teams that are at the very bottom of their conferences. The bottom line is that the Toronto Raptors need a player that we can trust going down the stretch. Whether we develop a player to become that in the very near future, or we go out and get a closer for us. Because so far, 29 of the 54 games played go into crunch time. That's 54% of our games, and if we continue to lose almost 75% of those games, that will cost us. That means having a lot worse record, which means having a very poor spot in the playoffs, but we aren't even on pace to make it this year. And what I'm about to say is very controversial, and a lot of Raptors fans won't like what I'm about to say. We should have traded Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline. And I understand why we didn't, but if we did, it would make the team so much better now and for the long term. I do think he is the greatest Raptor of all time, and I love him as a player, but it would just help the growth of the organization. And if the Raptors traded Kyle Lowry, he knew it would be coming. It wouldn't just come out of the blue. He was one of the biggest names at the trade deadline, and you would have to understand. If a team is going to keep a 35-year-old player that's still very valuable, they should be competing at the time. And if not, there are so many assets you could get to keep your team on the same timeline. There are contenders out there that need a player like Lowry to put them over the top. Not only were there teams that wanted another star-level player, but he would fill in a role that they desperately needed. There was a lot of demand for Kyle Lowry, but Toronto didn't pull the trigger and let their emotions take over their decisions. And that was a mistake. He's also taking up $30 million this year and is going to be a free agent in the offseason. So Toronto's problem this year definitely can be fixed. They're on pace to get a lottery pick in the 2021 NBA draft, so that will do nothing but help this young team. They got even younger this season when they got rid of Norman Powell and got Gary Trent. The only two things I think the Raptors need to do, besides just to develop and grow as a team, is to get a young, reliable big man, as well as develop a player you can rely on in crunch time in the near future, or go ahead and get one through a trade or a signing. If the Raptors were going to trade Kyle Lowry, they would have done it this trade deadline. And even he said he wants to be a Raptor for life.
Yeah. What do you want to see Kyle Lowry's relationship with the Raptors be? And we know you're heading into free agency. That can mean a whole bunch of different things. Like, do you see yourself retiring as a Raptor? Do you see yourself?
I would say this: I will retire as a Toronto Raptor. That if I'm here, I will retire as a Toronto Raptor.
So Toronto is a young, exciting team that looks to have a pretty solid future ahead of them, with a veteran leader in Kyle Lowry to help mentor the young team. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe for future basketball content, and thank you for watching.